Search for almost any restaurant online and you'll usually find reviews, ads, menu posts, or food photos. But search for Waffle House and you can easily fall into an endless rabbit hole of fight videos and bad reputation.
There have been more fights at Waffle Houses than the entire history of the Roman Colosseum.
A shooting at a Waffle House where dozens of teenagers had gathered.
There are entire Reddit threads and YouTube channels dedicated to the Waffle House violence. But apart from these fights, the company has also built a bad reputation around its food, bad service, and customers finding things they definitely did not expect in their meals. Normally, that kind of reputation would be terrible for business. But even with all that negativity around the brand, Waffle House is still one of America's most trusted food chains. It stays open 24/7, even during storms and blackouts, and made over $1 billion last year. So, how did a restaurant with such a messy reputation become this successful? Waffle House was started in 1955 by two World War II veterans, Joe Rogers Sr. and Tom Faulkner. Faulkner served in military intelligence and security, and after the war, he returned home and joined his family's real estate business in Georgia. At the same time, Joe Rogers Sr. was a B-24 pilot and reached the rank of captain before his military service ended in 1945. After returning home, Rogers entered the restaurant business as a short-order cook at Toddle House. He later became a regional manager and moved to Atlanta, Georgia. That is where he met Tom Faulkner. Rogers was buying a house and Faulkner was the real estate agent selling it. They became neighbors first, then close friends. At the time, McDonald's and other chains were growing fast with quick takeout food. Faulkner saw an opportunity and asked Rogers to help him build a restaurant. But Rogers had a different idea. Instead of another takeout spot, he suggested a 24-hour quick-service sit-down restaurant. Faulkner loved the idea and, within a week, found a location on 2719 East College Avenue. They quickly pulled together $4,000 and built a small restaurant there. They named the restaurant after the item that made the most money on the menu, and that item was waffles. Waffles also made sense for the sit-down concept, since they were not good at taking out. So they named it Waffle House. On Labor Day weekend in 1955, the first Waffle House opened, and on that very first day, the restaurant made $142. The two worked well together, as Faulkner understood the real estate side of the business and helped find the right location, while Rogers brought his restaurant experience from Toddle House along with the recipes he already knew worked. By the late 1960s, Waffle House began franchising slowly and grew to 27 locations, and within the next decade, they had more than 400 locations. The company spread across Georgia, then across the South, and slowly became one of the most recognizable diner chains in America. By that point, the founders had also started stepping away from day-to-day control. In 1973, Joe Rogers Jr. became CEO, helping lead the next phase of the company's growth. Today, Waffle House has more than 2,000 restaurants across 25 states with over 40,000 employees. And this is where the strange business logic of Waffle House really begins. Waffle House is the second largest family-style restaurant chain in America, only behind Denny's. But even after being one of the biggest restaurant chains in the US, you'll rarely find an ad for Waffle House. When traditional restaurants typically spend 3 to 6% of gross revenue on marketing and advertising, Waffle House never spent a penny on advertising. They built their brand by putting restaurants in the right places, like intersections, gas stations, and high-traffic areas where people are already moving. And because the restaurants are open 24 hours a day, they naturally attract travelers, truckers, families, and anyone looking for food when every other place is closed. That model made the Waffle House extremely useful. but it also created the exact conditions that made the Waffle House infamous. The 24-hour model attracted late-night drunks looking for a cheap meal to sober up. And its highway locations brought in travelers who may never pass through that town again, which gave them no real reason to be on their best behavior. And when you put these people inside a small diner at 3 a.m., things can go wrong really quickly. Over the years, the internet has turned these Waffle House fight videos and wild customer incidents into memes and jokes. These clips became part of the brand's strange public image. But behind these memes, reality is pretty serious. In one of the most tragic cases, 4 people were fatally shot and killed at a Nashville Waffle House by a former employee who was fired. And between 2009 and 2025, 20 violent Waffle House shootings have been reported, along with a huge number of fights and viral brawls. For most restaurant chains, that kind of reputation would be a nightmare. But the fights, memes, and bad press did not destroy the brand. Instead, they became part of the myth. Waffle House seems to act like any publicity is good publicity, and it has not made any major changes to stop these problems. And when you look at the company's 70-year history, the pattern is clear. The Waffle House has never really changed anything. Waffle House has been in the restaurant industry for 70 years, but the company never chased food trends. The original menu had just 16 items, and since then, it has barely changed. Over the years, the only real changes have been the addition of hash brown bowls, which customers were already creating on their own. In one other rare case, a Waffle House kiosk at SunTrust Park started selling beer. Beyond those small changes, Waffle House has always focused on selling high-calorie breakfast food to be served quickly. And when it comes to speed, Waffle House has one of the strangest systems in the restaurant industry. It is called the magic marker system. Instead of writing every detail down, workers use condiment packets, utensils, and small food items placed in specific positions on a plate to communicate orders to the grill operator. For example,
if the customer would rather have hash browns, you simply add a few shreds of hash browns to the plate.
From the outside, it sounds ridiculous, but the grill operator can take a glance at the plate and knows what needs to be cooked next. That is how Waffle House can get orders out in minutes. Even though the system is strange and can take employees months to master, Waffle House has never replaced it with a regular ticket system. That fits the company's pattern. If something works, Waffle House keeps it. And just like this, the 24-hour policy is something the company has never changed. In fact, they have pushed that promise and decided to stay open even during disasters. After Hurricane Charlie in 2004, emergency officials noticed that Waffle Houses were often the first businesses to reopen. This was not an accident. Over the years, Waffle House carefully built its own disaster playbook. The company stocks extra food, keeps backup generators ready, and prepares special emergency menus so restaurants can keep serving even when electricity or running water goes out. When a major storm is forecast, Waffle House also brings in a mobile command center to coordinate supplies and repair crews. It even has jump teams of trained staff who come in from safer areas when local employees cannot get to work. That level of preparation led the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, to unofficially use Waffle House to understand how badly a storm had affected an area. This idea is now called the Waffle House Index. If a Waffle House is open with its full menu, the index is green. That means the area is stable. If it is open with a limited menu, the index turns yellow. That means there are problems with power, water, or supply chains. But if the restaurant is fully closed, the index turns red, and that means the situation is really bad.
If we don't see those lights on, we know we're in big trouble.
This is extremely useful for communities in the affected areas, but it is also extremely profitable for Waffle House as well, since sales can double or even triple because they're often the only place that stays open after a disaster. And if you think all this makes Waffle House a good franchising opportunity, then you're wrong. The company is still privately owned and is very strict about franchising. They have always strategically controlled their expansion and have always stayed in the South and nearby states. Even today, there is not a single Waffle House in major cities like New York or California. But staying in the South is not just a cultural choice, it also comes with an advantage. The South offers lower labor costs and has often been less friendly to workers' rights. For example, in Georgia, workers were paid a tipped minimum wage as low as $2.90 per hour. They have also employed mandatory $3 per shift meal deductions, whether the employee eats the food or not. This alone saves Waffle House over $30 million nationwide every year. But in 2024, worker protests finally pushed Waffle House to raise pay from $2.90 to $3 per hour. The company called it the single largest investment in workforce in 68-year history. But despite the criticism and the bad reputation, Waffle House has remained a profitable business. And as of May 2026, their annual revenue is over $1 billion. Waffle House is one of the rare restaurant chains that has stood the test of time. In 1955, Joe Rogers and Tom Forkner found a niche so powerful that even the restaurant fights, lack of advertising, and staying open during natural disasters have all worked in their favor. While Waffle House workers have often faced the wrong end of the business, things are slowly improving for them too. At the end of the day, Waffle House is more than a restaurant. It is a slice from the past and a symbol of Southern food culture. So, if you're ever in a Southern state at 2 in the morning, just remember, somewhere nearby, there is probably a Waffle House open. People might be fighting inside, but someone will still serve you breakfast.